Tyre dressings, it's normally one of the last stages that you do when you detail your car, and a good quality tyre dressing can really finish the car off. Whether you go for a satin, a gloss or a matte finish, that's up to yourself. But today we're going to be taking a look at 8 tyre dressings that I've got in my collection, and we're just going to see how they all perform against each other. Hi, welcome back to Detailing World. In today's video we're going to take a look at a number of tyre dressings. Those that know me know I've been looking for a decent tyre dressing for a number of years now. So for a long while I've been using the Auto Smart High Style. It's got its pros and cons. I've also used the Meguiar's Tyre Endurance and a couple other tyre dressings here and there, but I've never found quite the perfect one. So as I said, today we're going to be looking at 8 popular tyre dressing products that I've got in the collection and see if any of these will be perfect for me, but also give you an idea as how each of these perform. So I first recorded this around the start of the year. I think due to the weather I just got a bit off put going out, keep checking the tyre dressings, but anyway, I've got slightly better weather today, see how these perform in slightly drier conditions. So first of all, I've already done the prep work. I've cleaned the tyres and some plastic. I might try this on some plastic trim, but we've got the Sam's tyre dressing stripper. Gave everything a clean with that, starting from a nice fresh base. Just giving the tyres time to dry out as well. I'll also just wave a hair gun or a hair dryer over them or something like that. So product wise then, I posted on Instagram at the beginning of the year that I was doing this, and I've had a couple of others sent out, a couple of updated products from some manufacturers. So in no particular order, we have 26 JPN's Hydro Tyre. I've got the Detailed Online Ultra Shine. Excuse the bike going past. Dodo Juice's Tyre Mania. This is like a paste tyre dressing. This is very different. Carcams Tire Gel. I've used this a fair bit over the past year or so, along with Maximum Shine Tire Gel from Valip Pro. I've used that a fair number of times as well. One that I've not used, I've also not used the 26 JPN by the way, but I've not used the Sam's rubber and trim dressing, so we're going to be giving that one a try. Stiana Gloss's Gummy, I've used that a couple of times. I do like that. That's more of a sort of satiny sheen to it. Again, we'll see that on the tyre. And then I guess my benchmark, and I hold it funny because it's so greasy, is the Auto Smart High Style. So yeah, what we're going to do, I've got basically a chart here. If you can see, that's not overexposed. That's the tyre. I'm going to divide it up into 8 sections. I want to get all the dressings on one tyre if I can, just so it's all got the same conditions. As I say, I'll probably try some of these or all of these on trim as well, because quite often tyre dressings can be used on plastic trim, so I might try it down the side of the car. So yeah, everything's prepped and ready. Let's get that. Oh, by the way, everything will have its own applicator to avoid cross-contamination, and if I need to buff it off, they'll all have their own microfibers as well. So yeah, let's get out there and give these a test. Okay, so that's all the products that apply to the tyres, and in no particular order really, just grabbed one and put that on there. So we'll just go through them now in the order that I did apply them. So first of all, we went with the 26 JPN Hydro tyre. Now first of all, just before I continue, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone that sent me these. Other than the Auto Smart High Star, which I've paid for myself, all of these have been sent to me free of charge. So thanks to all the suppliers for sending these. Because they're all free of charge apart from the one, I hope that shows that there's no bias towards any of these at all. It's all just my judgment and opinions. Also, I'm not actually going to be scoring these as such. I'm going to leave that to John at Forensic Details, so he can crack on with that. That's his thing. I'm just going to give you my opinion on each, and then you can take it from there, really. Oh, before we do get onto this, by the way, I must say the Sam's tyre dressing stripper that I used did a cracking job. Those tyres never get clean, and it pretty much cleaned them after the first hit, and then I gave it a second and third just to double check and make sure it's thoroughly clean, ready for the test. But yeah, for regular use, pretty much one hit, just did that. Anyway, so yeah, onto the 26 JPN. So this one, again, packaging very nice. I'm not going to talk too much about the packaging. Again, that's all opinions. Comes with a flip lid, great, so it's easy to apply this to a tyre applicator. And from what I remember 10-15 minutes ago, it smells rather nice. I'm not sure what that smell is, but it's a nice smelling product. Doesn't feel too greasy when you apply it, and I've got some notes as well just down here. So if I keep looking down here, I'm just double checking my notes. Yeah, and it's quite a glossy product. In fact, nearly all of these had a decent level of gloss apart from one. But again, we'll get onto that when we get to that product. So yeah, quite a nice glossy product. Smells rather nice, and it's quite a thick gel-like product to come out, so nice and easy to use. Also worth mentioning that on the back it mentions it's SiO2 infused, which is yeah, a little different, so quality. So we'll get onto the Stiana Gloss one. So the Stiana Gloss Gummy, this one is a trim and tyre dressing. This one again, it's almost gel-like, light green or turquoise, whatever colour you want to call this. And again, smells just nice. I'm not sure what of, it's not awful or anything like that. Again, nice flip lid as well to dispense the products onto your applicator. Because it is quite thick, sometimes you just need to keep reapplying little bits. You can kind of layer this up, so this is actually more of a, almost like a satin kind of finish, a bit on that, you know, glossier side of satin, so you can put a couple of coats of this on if you want and get a bit more shine from it. As I said, I've used this one a few times. I'm just reading some of the instructions now actually whilst talking to you guys. But yeah, as I said, trim tyre dressing, really do like this one. Again, from experience, it's quite durable, but we'll see how it compares to some of the others over the next week or two. Detailed Online's Ultra Shine. So when I first did this test, I used the tyre dressing. Let me just grab that. So this is the tyre dressing, a very runny product, as you can tell. You spray that onto your pad, and this, I think it smells apple if I remember rightly. Oh God, yes, that smells so nice. The downside is that was, it says it leaves a slick wet look. I never had that. It was more very satin. It didn't, almost natural. It didn't really leave too much. If you put it on, if you over applied it, then yes, it would look wet, but it wouldn't last long. It was more of a naturally kind of look. And I think that's why they've gone ahead and developed the Ultra Shine. So this is my first time using this, so it'll be quite interesting to see how this comes out. That one just smells very chemically. It's not a nice smell at all, really. It's again, it's quite a runny product like that. Just a screw top, so I don't know if they forgot to send a spray cap, or if they did, I may have forgot, because this has been sat on my shelf for 6 months. So apologies, Detailed Online, if I've got that wrong. But yeah, it probably should come with a trigger, and it may come with a trigger. As I say, I can't remember, it's been sat there so long. Again, we'll see how we get on. It's a little, not greasy, but it's a runny product. Now, the positive with a runny product, it allows application like very quickly. You can just load that onto an old sponge or whatever it is you're using and just whiz around the tyre walls. Jobs are good. So yeah, we'll see what the durability is like, but so far, I'm just having a quick look. That is a glossy product. Just remembering what looked like what out there, but yeah, that was a very glossy product on the tyre. The next is probably my benchmark and something I've used for about 10-15 years, but it's very greasy. You can, yeah, I just don't like holding a bottle without gloves normally. It's a very, very greasy product. With that in mind, it's auto smart, and a lot of their products are made for the trade purpose in mind usually. There's a lot of consumer products as well these days, but this one, it is one that you just literally, you probably use a paintbrush if you're working at a Valit's or something like that, and they'll probably dip that in a big bucket and just whip it around the tyre wall. And that's when you see, you know, your £5 car washes get this all over the tyres, and all over the wheels, should I say. But that's not the fault of this product, that's the fault of the splash and dash car washers just being in a rush. But anyway, it is a very runny product, and again, I know from experience it does sling a bit as well because it's quite runny, so you would have to buff this off afterwards just to avoid any sling or anything like that. But it is a very, very glossy product, and I know this will last about a week, but again, we'll see how long it lasts compared to the others. Yeah, smell wise, it's a little bit of a citrusy kind of smell. I don't need to open it to know that. I've used this for a long time. I said the downside is just using it. I hate picking it up. Yeah, you always have to wear gloves for that product. Next up, we have Valip Pro's Maximum Shine Tire Gel. Again, this is quite greasy, so this bottle itself is a bit greasy, and the reason for that is, again, it's just a screw top. It's a gel-like product, so it's not a liquid like the High Style or the Detailed Online. It's a very thick gel product. So really, they should have put like a flip cap on it, a dispensing cap. So Elliot, if you're watching this, maybe that's something you can consider changing at some point, or maybe one of these push-up caps like we'll get onto in a minute with Sam's detailing. But yeah, I've wasted so much product because it doesn't come out, and then all of a sudden you get a ton of it on your applicator, and I either spill it or I just end up using more than I need to use, and because of that it's dribbled down the bottle. It's made it a bit greasy. But that said, it's a high gloss finish as well on there. If that's what you want, as I say, a lot of these are glossy. I know a lot of people want the wet look. So yeah, you apply this and buff it off. Let me just see what the smell is like. Again, I know that's not overly important. It's a clear product. It's transparent. It smells rather nice. Yeah, again, none of these have got any noticeable sort of like apple, cherry, anything like that. It's just a nice, pleasant smelling product. Another greasy bottle there. So next one, another first for me here, is the Sam's rubber and trim dressing. I was surprised when I popped the lid on this. So this is a pop-up, push-down cap, you know, like you got in a lot of your hand polishers. What came out of this was, it's a purpley grey, I don't know what colour you want to call that. Let me see if I can get some on camera for you. There we go. There we go, that's the colour. So it's almost like a cream. It's not gel-like. It's like a thicker version of the Gummy. That's almost, you know, the Gummy is not necessarily a gel either. So yeah, it's not a gel. It's like I say, it's almost like a cream finish. Now on here it says it'll provide a deep matte finish. Now let me see what I've got in my notes. I've got a satin on there, an almost high satin. So I may have just used a bit too much, I'm not sure, and got that. But it says here use 3 pea-sized drops on one of our applicators. I just use my own random applicator for this purpose at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Smell-wise, let me just take the cap off. So it smells beautiful. That is the best smelling product of these lot, and I think that's almost a cherry-like. Yeah, you could have that as an air freshener. So if you want nice smelling tyres, go for Sam's. But yeah, it says on here this is going to give you a matte finish. Now as I say, I'm classing it more of a satin or a high satin. So if that's the kind of look you want, you don't want something too shiny, this may be the one for you. Getting close to the end then, we're onto the Carcams Tire Gel, simply called Tire Gel. This one does come with a flip cap. Rather than one of the push downs like the 26JP and the Stiana gloss, it's actually a flip up, and that again smells very, very nice, up there with the Sam's. This comes out as a gel as well, very similar to the Hydro Tire and the Maximum Tire Shine from Valip Pro. You don't need too much of this, and again, I know this is quite a glossy product. Yeah, that's a familiar smell. It's like a childhood smell. I'm not sure what it is, so we'll see what this says. A high gloss tie sealant containing high grey silicone and white oil. It leaves tyre looking replenished and new. And that's what I've noticed. It is a high gloss, it is very glossy product. So yeah, over the past year or two, my go-tos, if I've not been using the high style, has really been the Valip Pro Maximum Shine and the Carcams Tire Gel. They've been my go-tos because I wanted a little bit of extra gloss. And finally, onto something very, very different. Now, I'm not going to grab the applicator inside because, yeah, it's a tad greasy, covered in product. It smells of a wax kind of thing. It's it's Dodo Juice's Tyre Mania. Now, I'd heard about this years ago, big fan of Dodo Juice, I've used them for a long time, but this is one of the only products I'd never used until earlier this year when I did the Dodo Juice Back to Basics series. Speaking of which, if you've not seen that, I'll put a link up there for that now. But anyway, yeah, this one, let me see if I'll read the description, see if the description matches what I've written down. So it's carnauba tire wax, so hence that smell, that's the familiar smell, it's carnauba in there. For dressing sidewalls, it gives a choice of matte or satin black finishes. So use, wash the tyre, remove, blah, 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 blah. Apply it to the pad, apply it to the tyre, allow to dry for a matte finish. For a satin sheen, allow to dry before buffing with a water spray. And that's definitely what I've got. I've definitely got a matte finish because I've not buffed it with a water spray. And if you see it on the close-ups, it's very natural looking. These all make your tyres look very, very black again, black and glossy. This has gone with like a deep, deep grey. You're almost recolouring it as well because of the colour of this product. It's as though you're recolouring as though you would with leather. So yeah, we'll see how this goes on as well over the next week or two. I may even try some sort of beading test in a week. I'm going to leave it now because let's be honest, once you guys at home have applied a tyre dressing, you're not going to be getting your wheels wet immediately, so I'm not going to wet either of these immediately. They're going to have at least 24 hours sat there on the drive doing nothing, and then that van gets used for work anyway. So put some miles on it and see how I get in a couple of weeks, and we'll report back then.
1 week later.
Okay, so the tyre dressings have been on now for a week. It's actually been 8 days. It's Monday evening now, so I wanted to test them after exactly a week, but yesterday was just a washout. So yeah, after work now, and thankfully it's dry. So thankfully, I made this chart and remembered which tyre dressing was where, other than the Dodo Juice one, which is quite a noticeable different tyre dressing to the rest because it's a very matte finish. The others, I forgot what they were. So I had a quick look and assess of each section, and I'd kind of like made my mind up which ones looked the best. And then I had to consult this as to which one was which. So they're all still on there, they're all still protecting. As I say, it's been 8 days. So yeah, there's a reminder as well, it's not a competition. I'm not necessarily ranking these like a winner and a loser. It's not something I really like to do. Everything's an opinion. So this is just me finding the tyre dressing that I really like, really, and hopefully help you guys out as well. So as I said, I made a few notes on the back here. So after 8 days then, we'll start in a clockwise at the top then. So that was the 26 JPN Hydra Tyre, I believe it's called. That one is still showing it as being quite glossy. And what I'm going to do as well actually is at the weekend, so by that point they've been on 2 weeks, I'll probably top up half of each tyre dressing. So then what you'll have is, you'll have a section of fresh that day tyre dressing, you'll have a small section of 2 week old tyre dressing, and then you'll have a little strip where the tape was, where there's nothing. So hopefully it'll show you as well how much it's degraded, so we'll get that done as well. So anyway, yeah, the 26 JPN is still showing as quite glossy. The Stiana gloss started off satin. I've put down here it looks a bit dulled, but that might be dulled in comparison to the 26 JPN that it's sat next to, so it looks duller than that. But as I said, what I'll do is I'll put a fresh coat of each on and we'll see how dulled down it has gone in the 2 weeks afterwards. Detailed online, I've got that it was rather glossy when I first applied it. Here I've got dulled. So yeah, if I've written down it was glossy last week and it's dull now, then I believe that one has dropped down a tad. High style, I know that's a very glossy tyre dressing. However, I've described this on my notes here that it's satin and it's lost some gloss. And yeah, I'd probably stick with that. Detailed online, detailed online, sorry, Auto Smart High Style. It is one that I know can drop off, not necessarily quickly, but it does last a week to 2 weeks, sort of like, it seems to be its maximum from my past experiences. Valip Pro, maximum tyre shine, that's called. Sorry, I have to keep looking behind me to remind myself. Still glossy, I've got that one. As I said, just to remind you, I quickly made mental notes of each section before consulting this chart. So I've got the Valip Pro still looking as nice and glossy, so that's good. And that's one I've been using a fair bit as well over the past, since Christmas, since Valip Pro sent me all of this stuff out. Sam's, I wrote it down as being satin, and last week I wrote it as being high satin. So again, we'll see at the weekend how much that has actually come down from its original application, but from that it's probably still performing as it was when I first put that on. And also I'll lay over before and after shots. No lighting conditions have changed and all of that, so without getting in a controlled studio or something, it is quite a hard test to do, to be fair. Carcam, I've got that down as being glossy last week, which I know it is. Again, I've used that a fair few times and it does look really nice and glossy when you first apply it. And tonight I've written that down as matte / satin, so I think that may have dropped down a little bit as well. And then finally the Dodo Juice one, of course we had that down as matte / natural last week. And I've written down my notes here looking fresh, and it is that the Dodo Juice one is still looking as fresh as when I applied it last week, if that's the look that you want. If you don't want the glossy look and you want more of a natural looking look, that Dodo Juice one is still smashing it after a week. So yeah, other points to note then, so they all seem to be beading up rather well as well, which does give an indication. So where I've written down some of them may have lost the gloss levels or some of the shine, they are still beading up as well, so there is still some tie dressing in there. They are still protecting. As I said, it's just a quick check tonight. I say Monday evening, it's been 8 days. What I'll do come the weekend is I will give the tyre wall basically a quick scrub, not necessarily a harsh scrub like I normally would to strip tyre dressing with an all-purpose cleaner. I'll probably mix a soapy water mixture and just use a gentle detailing brush. Just give them a light clean over like you would on a maintenance wash. See how they look after that, and then as I said, just top up half of each section with a fresh layer so you can see how it has degraded over the course of 2 weeks basically. So yeah, we'll come back to you at the weekend.
Several days later.
It's been 2 weeks now that the tyre dressers have been sat on there, so I've just got the van into position. I've not looked at them properly yet, so I'm just going to take the chart out with me so I know what's where, and I'll literally record my initial impressions, my initial thoughts live, so to speak, as I check those out. So we'll do that, then we'll apply a little bit of fresh of each product on so I can compare zero tyre dressing, fresh tyre dressing, and 2-week-old tyre dressing. So yeah, let's go out there and yeah, initial thoughts after 2 weeks. Okay, so here we are then. Apologies in advance for any traffic noise, we are outside. So my first impressions are this side, so whatever's on these 4 sections are doing the best. This one up here as well at sort of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that's doing all right. So that then is 26 GPN Hydro tyre up here. So just get in, and then this one here is Stiana gloss around here. Looks like it's gone almost, up to about this mark here, that's Stiana gloss. Down here, this section, this is detailed online, which I think that's practically gone, that's almost bare tyre now. Same down here, which is the high style from Auto Smart. So yep, then what have we got? We've got Valip Pro and Sam, so that's Valip Pro there. Bit of glossiness if you look at that section. Yep, and Sam's detailing just here. Feels nice that, if you compare it, yeah. Up here, this section then, that is Carcams Tire Gel. And then this one's still looking fresh, in fact, is the Dodo Juice. Yeah. Still looking as good as you can still see a defined line there as well. So that's my first impressions then, and as I said, the left side of the tyre and the one in the top right, which I think was 26 JPM. The left side was, I think I said Valip Pro, Sam's Carcam Tire Gel, and the Dodo Juice Tyre Remaining. They all look still not as fresh as they were, but you can still see that they're on there. The two at the bottom, on the bottom right, which was high style, and I think it's a detailed online. yeah, they seem to have disappeared, and then Stiana gloss is a bit meh. As I said, I'm just going to whack on a fresh coat, so I've still got them all behind me just there. I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do with a fresh coat is put a fresh coat on half of the existing sections, if that makes sense. So yeah, you'll see what I'm doing on camera. We'll do that now. Okay, then they've all had about 10 minutes to cure. Again, apologies for any road noise here. So you can see what I've done here. We've got the bare tyre where the tape was last week or 2 weeks ago. Fresh that I've applied today, and this bit's been on 2 weeks. And the idea here is to see if really they need topping up. So here's the chart again. I'll probably pin this up as a graphic up here. So we've got the 26 JPN. So that's 2 week old, and that's to date. And that's obviously fresh. So you can see there's still something there, but it's not as good as the day it was fresh. Stiana gloss, again, here we've got nothing. So there's still a bit of something, but again, not as good as it is fresh, but it has lasted pretty much 2 weeks. This is where you get the notes for them. So detailed online and Auto Smart High Style, I cannot see the tape line between them, which to me basically means it's run out here and here. So that's detailed online, 2 week old, and that's fresh. And that's High Style, 2 week old and fresh, and you just can't see any tape marks, so they've pretty much not lasted 2 weeks. Down here then we've got the Valip Pro, so you can almost see a tape line here. I can, I don't know if you can see it on camera. That's 2 week old Valip Pro and then fresh, so you can see the difference. Again, same with the Sams, so here we've got the tape mark, 2 week old and fresh. Up here we've got Carcam. Now there's not all that much difference, so we've got a tape mark obviously, but let's look at the tape mark here. 2 week old and fresh, so it's lasting well for 2 weeks, really is. Not glossy, but it's still dark. And then up here is the most noticeable one, so we've got a tape mark here with nothing, apologies for that noise, and a tape mark there. Now this is 2 week, this is Dodo Juice, Tyre by the way. This is 2 week old, this is fresh today. That looks nearly as good as that. Almost, there's a slight more sheen there, little bit, but yeah, nearly neck and neck after 2 weeks. That's the one that's impressed me the most. So although it's not the glossiest one, if you're after a natural look and it feels nice, that's probably the one. So yeah, we'll take this back in the garage. Right, so that's the testing all done then. So some of you may notice that I didn't do the wash testing, and that's because the weather keeps threatening to rain. In fact, just as I finished filming that last bit, yeah, it's just started raining now, so I've timed this just right. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what those 8 tyre dressings behind me can do for you, how they look after 2 weeks compared to nothing on the tyre and compared to fresh tyre dressings. So going into this, I've just got some notes over here on the whiteboard. So going into this, like I said, I've used Stiana gloss a couple of times as a tyre dressing. I did like that. Valip Pros, the High Style I've used for many years. I knew what to expect of that. And also the Carcams Tire dressing, I've used that a lot as well. So those couple I've used a lot over the past 1 to 10 years. So yeah, High Style 10 years, Valip Pro, Stiana gloss and Carcams for the past year to 18 months. So yeah, that gives you, I knew what I was going to expect with those. I suppose what I wasn't expecting is obviously the results of some of these. So again, after 2 weeks then, just to recap what I said out there is, the 26 JPN was pretty much still visible as a tyre dressing on there. The Stiana gloss was again just about noticeable, so probably like below 26 JPN. As I say, I'm not ranking these as such. You need to do that scientifically, in my opinion. We'll let Forensic John do that. Detailed Online's tyre dressing and the High Style from Auto Smart, both of those looks like they would almost gone out. I'd say there was like 10%, if you could measure it, I'd say there were like 10% of the dressing remaining. They'd practically gone. And if we're sticking with percentages, then I've got written down here as the Valip Pro, the Sams and the Carcams all having about 50% of the gloss or the noticeability still remaining. And then the one that really impressed me the most, but I think gets overlooked because it's not a glossy tyre dressing, is the Dodo Juice one. It was still clearly there after 2 weeks. But then when we've topped them up, that gives you a bit more sort of, you can see how it has deteriorated over the 2 weeks. So it's quite hard to say, oh, well, this has dropped by X amount, because you've not got fresh to compare against. You've only got the original tyre to compare against. Hence why I put a little bit of fresh on of each, so I could see side by side fresh tyre dressing that's been allowed to cure for about 15 to 20 minutes each of those against 2 week old. And you can see how then it's going to fall off in 2 weeks, and you know what your tyre's going to look like. So yeah, again, with the 26 JPM, we'll start in a clockwise direction. With the 26 JPM, when you apply that, you can see a bit of a difference, which would indicate that the 2 week old dressing is still quite clearly there, because if there's not a massive improvement with the new stuff going on, that means the original stuff is still doing well. So yeah, there's a bit of an improvement there, which would show it was still lasting. The Stiana gloss, there was quite a bigger difference between 2 week old and 15-20 minute old stuff. So yeah, that probably fell off, you know, a little bit quicker, but you're still going to get about 2 weeks from the Stiana gloss. Once again, the Detailed Online and the High Star one, I think because they are, if I remember rightly, I'm just looking back there, they're the only two runny products really. A lot of the others are gel-like, or it's more like a cream for the Sams, and obviously a paste for the Dodo Juice. But the others are more of a gel-like, and I think that helps with the durability. So yeah, the High Style and the Detailed Online are both very, very runny products, which, as I said earlier in the video, it does allow for quicker application. The downside is they're pretty much gone. So once you put the fresh on, there's a massive difference between 2 week old tyre dressing and fresh tyre dressing. There's a huge difference. And as I say, you couldn't even see the tape line. So yeah, that would indicate that they're not even seeing out 2 weeks and that they've gone. Then, as I said earlier, when we did like the 2 week recap, the left hand side of the tyre had the what looked like the more durable tyre dressings on. And as I say, it was applied quite randomly. So then at the bottom left, we had the Valip Pro, which again, there was a noticeable difference between fresh and 2 week old, but not like a massive jump. It was kind of similar to the 26 JPN in fact, and again, both gel products. So yeah, the Valip Pro is lasting 2 weeks. Fresh tyre dressing will always look better, but it's definitely lasting the 2 weeks. It's just dying down. It may get another week out of that. And the same applies to the Sams as well, to their tyre dressing. That was a similar kind of comparison to the Valip Pro. And then moving on to the Carcams Tire Gel, that again, another gel product like the Valip Pro and the 26 JPM. That was quite noticeable, but not hugely difference between 2 week old and fresh. It was just, you can tell you've applied fresh, but you can also see, because you can see the tape line, so you can see that the 2 week old stuff is still there. The one that really did surprise me though was the Dodo Juice one. You put on fresh tyre dressing and you can't really tell you put on fresh tyre dressing. There's a slight sort of like shimmer of freshness there, but that indicates to me that the tyre dressing I applied 2 weeks ago is still basically as good today as it was 2 weeks ago. If the fresh stuff doesn't stand out that much, then yeah, that just means you wouldn't need to top up. That's what that's kind of showing here. So where there's a huge difference, yes, you then need to top up because the tyre dressing's gone. When there's not so much of a difference, then that just shows it's still sticking around, which means as well, when you buy these products, they're just going to last longer. So that pot of Dodo Juice is probably would last you a month, I dare say. So by a month, I mean like a month per application. I don't mean a month for the pot, I mean a month for the application. It is a bit harder to apply, a bit more time consuming, but then if you've only got to apply it once every 3 or 4 weeks, it's no hardship really, rather than something that might take you just 5 minutes to whip round 4 wheels, but you've got to do it every week. It's a bit of a trade-off. You can either put all the work in once every month, or you can put a little bit of work in once every week. So yeah, there we have it with that. So I hope you've enjoyed this video then. It's been a little bit something different. As I said, I don't do a lot of these comparison ones. I think the last one I did was the High Street Polishers, which if you've not seen, I'll put a link to that up there as well. If you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, these sort of like head-to-heads, yeah, just leave a comment below and let me know what kind of videos you would like to see, or which products you'd like to see, sort of go head-to-head. As I say, I'm not one of these who's up for scoring against each other, because let's be honest, a lot of what we do as detailers and what you guys want is you're buying for the brand in some cases. So you might have 3 products that are identically the same in terms of performance, but you might prefer the branding of product A or the pricing of product B or whatever it may be. So sometimes it's near enough impossible to say this is the best or this is the winner, this is the loser. And that's the other thing as well, when you do compare them, you have to by definition have a loser. And yeah, it doesn't mean it's a bad product, but because they've come last, people think, oh well, that's no good, and that's not exactly the right way to look at it. Okay, so enough waffling on then. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you smash that like button, and if you're not subscribed to this channel already, please do consider subscribing as well. Also, don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Detailing World Official, and I'm on there as Randomly Set if you want to see the behind the scenes. You can also help support the channel as well on Patreon if you wish. No pressure, you don't have to feel obliged to support us on there whatsoever. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you in the next one.